Whistleblowers, they're good things. Who don't love a whistleblower? Ensuring that things are done properly at high levels of the military or in the intelligence services. Why then are whistleblowers being banged up even under apparently progressive leaders such as Biden?
Human rights activists are crying foul over the case of a former U.S. intelligence analyst. Hale was part of the Joint Special Operations Task Force in 2012 and identified targets for kill and capture. The U.S. government targeted Hale for prosecution after he disclosed documents in 2014 to The Intercept.
Daniel Hale, a former US Air Force intelligence analyst, has been sentenced to 45 months in prison after pleading guilty to leaking a trove of government documents exposing the inner workings of the US military drone program. Appearing in an Alexandria, Virginia courtroom, Hale said he believed it was necessary to dispel the lie that drone warfare keeps us safe, that our lives are worth more than theirs. Well done, Daniel, because that's one of the old key lies, isn't it? That the point of drone warfare is it's sort of like, keep your hands clean killing, and that it's sort of also very much sold to us as this is very bespoke and you can kill people without the messy side effects of killing innocent civilians. And I suppose, look, in a way, the idea of military interventionism or American expansionism or any colonial or imperialist project relies on the idea that the lives of the people that are represented apparently by that military are more important than the people that are being killed. That's happened again and again. I mean, in a sense, that's history. Not just the history of the West, that's the history of the world. We're more important than them, we're better than them, let's kill them and take their stuff. Now, like, as we become apparently more sophisticated, these ideas have to be presented at least differently because, we all know post-Vietnam, people don't like seeing in your country, if you're American, your body's coming back, and things have become a little more complex. Daniel Hale, who's willing to put his freedom on the line for what he believes in, whatever you think about whistleblowing, whether it's right or wrong, says, I couldn't keep living in a world in which people pretend that things weren't happening that were. Please, Your Honour, forgive me for taking papers instead of human lives. Don't be sarcastic, Daniel. The conviction marked another victory for the US government in an ongoing crackdown on national security leaks that have spanned multiple presidential administrations. And of course, that's the line that interests us because we're interested, I suppose, in the kind of overview that presents the prospect of deep state ongoing policies that are impervious to the apparent vacillation between left and right, red and blue, whatever you want to call it. In addition to documents related to how the government chooses its drone strike targets and information detailing how often people who are not the intended targets of those strikes are nonetheless killed, Hale was also linked to the release of secret though unclassified rulebook detailing how the US government places individuals in its sprawling system of watch lists. Long shrouded in secrecy, the release of the rulebook has been celebrated by advocacy groups as a triumph of the post-9/11 era. Oh, they've got a rulebook, have they, of how people are spied on. When Edward Snowden came on Under the Skin, he went, put Russell Brand on the list or move him up the list.
I'm sure there's a guy at the NSA right now making a note of, my connection details to you, which route it went over the internet, They go, where do we think he likely lives now, and how does he travel, and what does he do, and who's he talk to, and oh, he's got a connection to Russell Brand now, put Russell Brand on the list. Oh shit, Russell Brand's already on the list, move him higher.
As has become standard practice in the US, Hale was charged under the Espionage Act. Under the highly controversial 1917 law, defendants cannot point to their efforts to inform the public about government actions and operations as defence for leaking classified information. Let's do a law where you can't say that you've done this for the people of the country. Say that it's espionage. I was doing this for the people, the very people that you said that I was joining the military or whatever endeavour this was in order to protect and to serve. That's why. So if the incentive is to protect and benefit these people, then why would you need to prevent me? Go to prison, that's quite enough of that. Well, at least this won't still apply in 100 years' time when we're more evolved and advanced. That's enough now, Sonny Jim. President Barack Obama weaponised the anti-spying law as a tool to hammer government employees who were sources for national security stories, particularly those that were unflattering to the government. The Trump administration continued the practice, and now so too has the Biden administration. There you go then. There's that. That's how that works. It's not really, there's no real difference. And like our man Chomsky, who I'm sure some of you absolutely despise, would say, in all the issues where you have no choice, then that's a kind of tyranny. it's at least hegemony. You can't choose. You can only vote on, we want to do this, we don't want to do that. Anything that's not on the menu, like let's stop drone strikes, let's empower people more ordinarily, let's distribute power and resources differently, let's close all the loopholes by which elites prosper. No one's offering that, so that's a sort of tyranny.
On his first day in office, Joe Biden temporarily limited counterterrorism drone strikes outside the battle zones of Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq.
Right, no more drone strikes for Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Where else you got wars? Look, I don't want to be pushed. I'm tired.
However, reports say that the president wants to boost armed drone exports to several countries with controversial human rights records.
Hale recorded his own experience of locating targets for American drone strikes. By some estimates, US drone operations abroad conducted by both the military and CIA have killed between 9,000 and 17,000 people. Bloody hell, not that specific. This is the most specific method of killing people that we can ever come up with. How many people you killed? Don't know, 9,000, 17,000? That's nearly double! Since 2004, including as many 2,200 children and multiple US citizens. Those estimates, however, undercount the true cost of remote American warfare, as Hale noted in his letter to the court last week. The US military has a practice of labelling all individuals killed in such operations as enemies killed in action unless proven otherwise. This was a little American child, or an enemy killed in action. What, a little American child? Prove it! Prove he weren't an enemy killed in action. With drone warfare, sometimes 9 out of 10 people killed are innocent, Hale said. I mean, I suppose you wouldn't be banging him up, would you, if what he was saying weren't true? As you'll be saying in the comments below, when you cut out a man's tongue, you don't prove that he's lying, but that you fear what he has to say. With drone warfare, sometimes 9 out of 10 people killed are innocent, Hale said. You have to kill part of your conscience to do your job. Don't all of us in some way have to kill a part of ourselves in order to participate in a society that's not in alignment with our true nature, our spiritual nature? As loving beings, of course, many of us, I'm talking for myself, have greed and selfishness as part of our makeup, but wouldn't it be nice to think that you live in a culture and a society that elevates the better part of your nature, promotes the parts of you that are compassionate, kind, rather than a culture that sort of flattens that out into nothing and gets you to drone little kids claiming that they was enemies. In the sentence filing, Hale's defence lawyer said that he felt extraordinary guilt for having been complicit in what he viewed as unjustifiable killings through his involvement in the drone programme, and argued that his disclosures were compelled by a sense of moral duty. Well, unless he turns up like with a rap album or presenting Good Morning America, what other objective? It's not like, and now, see, look at that! Government prosecutors sought to rebut this picture, painting Hale as a self-interested egomaniac. He's a self-interested egomaniac. He's using his drone strikes so that he can get his own TV show. Who risked his freedom to ingratiate himself with a journalist he admired and compared his justifications to those of a heroin dealer. Like a heroin dealer. Like, they're dealing heroin, yeah, to journalists, yeah, but it's because, though, I don't even know how that would work. Edward Snowden said, Daniel Hale is one of the most consequential whistleblowers. He sacrificed everything. An incredibly courageous person to tell us 90% of the casualties in one 5-month period were innocent bystanders or not the target of drone strikes. We could not establish that. We could not prove that without Daniel Hale's voice. Well, there you go, Edward Snowden. And if you want to have a look at the episode, there's playlists of people like Edward Snowden on this channel. What do you think about whistleblowers? Do you think they're egomaniacs, hell-bent on getting their own TV shows? Or do you think they're speaking out on the level of a kind of conscientiousness that would be kind of beneficial to many other areas of government and governance? If you enjoyed this video, please comment below. Tell us what you think about it. Subscribe. Sign up to my mailing list on russellbrand.com so I can keep in communication with you. If you want to hear me have deep conversations, even with Edward Snowden, go over to Luminary and sign up to my podcast. I also do a guided meditation on there. If you need a bit of a break and meditate and do something for your own well-being, go over to my side channel, Awakening with Russell Brand. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you have a look at this one, you saucy devil, and have a little glimpse at this guy over here. He's almost as good. But what have I told you? Some things is private.